Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Friday, February the 3rd, the year 2017. And now here he is, Mr. Fred Belcastro.
When you're smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing, oh, you're laughing. When the sun comes shining through. When you're crying, you bring on the rain. Stop your sighing. Won't you be happy again? When you're smiling, keep on smiling.
Good morning. Welcome to the Wealth and Wisdom program. My name is Fred Belcastro, and during the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about using wisdom to grow and protect our wealth. I want to mention this morning our executive producer. I haven't called much attention to John, Mr. Shikenda, but he is the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikenda, and we of course thank him for all the work he does. And of course our director of this program is Mr. John DeVita, and we broadcast each week from the John DeVita Broadcast Center here on the northwest side of Chicago. And you have to know that you are listening. You're tuned into 89.7. That's Jack FM 89.7 WRHS out of Norwich, Illinois. Sure, we all talk about wealth and wisdom and using our wisdom, using a degree of intelligence to plan and make our wealth grow and protect it. These are just financial words of wisdom that we like to hear each and every week, or perhaps every day, that provides us with some financial clarity. And that's what we talk about. We use the clarity so that we can create, we can cultivate, we can keep our money in wealth efficient and tax efficient manners. What kind of steps can we take in order to finance our future and our everyday life? Well, that's what we try to discover and talk about each week here on the Wealth and Wisdom program. One of the things was brought to my attention this week with some of the advertising I read and some of the strategies you hear about over the radio or over TV. I'm going to mention one or two of them this morning for us to go over, to think about, and to look at. But I recall having met a gentleman by the name of Joe Grandolfo. I met Joe here in Chicago at one of our board meetings for the Life Underwriters Association, that it was called at that time. Joe Grandolfo, this was about 1965, and he was here as one of the keynote speakers. Then I had the privilege and pleasure of meeting Joe again 20 years later, in 1985. I was taking a class in Princeton, and he was moderating a class up there, a seminar up there. And to see the fellow a couple of times, and I mentioned Joe for this reason, other than a personal, it was just a nice, pleasant experience here after 20 years to run into the guy again, still doing the same thing that he had done 20 years earlier. And then I look at my own record, and here I am doing this for the last 50 years. But nevertheless, one of the things that Joe had said when he was a young fella entering the business and talking to individuals, he would say, "I'm Joe Grandolfo from Kennesaw Life, and this is what I've done." But as a new man, he hadn't done anything. And so he would put his card on the table and explain who he was and what he planned to do. And then he had planned to take classes. And then he said, "Now I'm Joe Grandolfo. I'm a CLU, which is Chartered Life Underwriter at the time, and with a degree of proficiency in underwriting life insurance and so on." And then he would progress each year and say, "I'm Joe Grandolfo. I'm on time for the $1 Million Roundtable," and he would go on to explain that. All right, the purpose of this is that there's so many individuals calling themselves financial advisors today. That very seldom, I don't know if we ever sit down and say, what are your qualifications? You say we have the term financial advisor. Almost everyone we on Harlem Avenue. There's a spiritual advisor right across from Mr. Beef. She could probably give advice as far as our finances or our budgets. So now is she a finance? You see what I'm saying? What are the criteria for calling yourself a financial advisor? Pretty near, as I'd like to say, pretty near nothing. There are no criteria. So I think that when we sit down with an individual or a group of individuals, that we look into their reason for sitting at our kitchen table, dining room table, or our desk, over our desk, and make suggestions, recommendations that we believe to be true. Because as I've said over and over again, if what you thought was true turned out not to be true, when would you want to know the truth? And would you really want to know the truth? So, and I believe you do. So, let's use that as a point of consideration when I talk about some of these strategies. I've heard strategies going from individuals investing in options, where you can't lose money no matter which way the market goes. Your money is safe. There's a butterfly strategy, and I can tell you what that is. It's buying and selling puts and calls on the option exchange. The idea is that it's a neutral position, so no matter which way the market goes, you don't lose, or you regain at least the cost of the subscriptions. But what you fail to realize is that unless you're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, the commission costs will eat you alive. Now, there's some very riskless or near riskless strategies out there, but I haven't heard of any of them because they're not as romantic or seemingly as exciting as some of these others. One of the strategies I've heard advertised is that you could use your home equity to get your Social Security check in a lump sum. Now, you know that your checks come in, for those of you who are receiving Social Security, those checks come in every month. And I think they're all direct deposit now, I'm not sure. But nevertheless, they come into your accounts. And they're mailed to you monthly. And once you're on the doles, once you've started receiving them, you'll receive a check each and every month. Now, you'll receive a reduced amount if you begin to receive your checks or your benefits, maybe at 62 or 65, 2.5, or you can wait to 65, 67, or to age 70, which is the 65 or your normal retirement, your primary insurance amount. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm telling you too much. You don't need to know this stuff. When you get your check, that's it. And you either get 80% of your benefits or full benefits. You should wait to this. That we've had programs and discussions. I've had workshops on Social Security benefits, when you should take your benefits and so on. But nevertheless, the point I want to make here is that you could use your home equity and get a Social Security check in a lump sum. Now, you can't go up to Jefferson Park and go up the elevator and tell a lady at the counter that you want to get your money in a lump sum rather than having the government pay you a monthly benefit. But yet, nevertheless, this is some of the things that you hear advertised. Why? Well, because it sounds exciting, doesn't it? Can you imagine getting your Social Security check in a lump sum? You say, what do you get, monthly? No, I get mine lump sum. They send it to you, a big check? Yeah, I got a big check, lump sum. So that it would cause you to wonder and say, hey, I'd like to look into that. But on the other hand, depending on your income level from all of your sources at retirement, your check could be taxable to you up to 85%. So as you know, at death, that benefit or death benefit of the surviving spouse, that benefit's curtailed. Now, they'll go on to say that the strategy might not work for everyone. Now, that's a disclaimer. Whenever you hear, well, that may not be in general, you see, those are disclaimers, so we don't get ourselves into trouble by saying this is the greatest thing since Grandma baked bread. But maybe it'll work out in your case. And the maybe it'll work out in your case is after what? How do you know it'll work out in your case? You see, have we planned anything? Have we looked at those details of the distribution years, the years in which we will be receiving Social Security and perhaps our 401k? Don't confuse the 401k, the 403b, any of the other plans, the IRAs, with a retirement plan. They're not a retirement plan. They're a postponed taxable savings plan. That's what it is. It's just going to postpone the tax, and it's going to accumulate a lump sum of money that you're saving, presumably for retirement. That's it. We put these titles and these mantras on various benefits or that we feel as though, hey, I feel comfortable with a pension plan, because a pension plan, as it was years ago, as we were kids growing up, we heard a pension plan and that was something continuous and rock solid. It's not rock solid. Not anymore. It's a savings plan. How are you going to take distribution? Anyway, you should. The company I mentioned over and over is the one I'm involved with, Golden Years Financial, focusing on providing the details of that growth, details of that income, details of the expenses, details of the taxes that are going to be involved. That'll help you design those later years, whether for a pre-retiree or a retirement, so that you can have a degree of completeness and understanding about what you have. But nevertheless, the strategy, the disclaimers that we talk about, it's not there for everybody. But most people that have retired work hard. I talk about getting up and shoveling snow at 5 in the morning and finding parking places. And being a resident of Chicago, we set chairs out in front of our houses, and we do that, and we pull away, and we have to work hard and pay off our homes so that we don't have a mortgage payment. We do or we don't. We don't want a mortgage payment, right? That's the way we've been brought up, not to have a mortgage at 65 or when we retire. That's something to be considered. That's something to look at. That's something to take into consideration when we're retired, and we might want to avoid that debt. We might want to avoid credit problems. But what have we done about it? Have we looked at it? Have we put together the packages necessary to eliminate these things? Just like any strategy that we have, anything by itself is good. We could make almost anything that we have sound good and applicable in almost all cases. A disclaimer would be, but in some cases it may not work out as good as in others. Now I've taken myself off the hook by saying that. Do you see that? But nevertheless, these are catchphrases. These are interesting subjects. When I first heard that somebody was selling the concept of getting a Social Security check and a lump sum, I thought, what are they talking about now? I knew it was, but nevertheless, take into consideration the people that being attracted to this, people that have paid off their homes, they have a good deal of money in their homes are paid off, they have the equity, and they plan on just leaving the home and everything in it to our children. One problem with this thinking is that while the kids get to step in a cost basis, the value of the home, it's still included in our estate. Thus, a portion of that value is gone if we're paying federal estate tax. But that's over $5.5 million presently, and so a lot of us don't have to worry about that. But nevertheless, that's one caution to this whole program that we'll get into later. One of the things I just mentioned, of course, that we plan on leaving the home to the kids. The kids. What kids? Oh, you mean the kids that are living out in Schaumburg? They want our house? I don't think they want to bring their families back. Do the kids want the house? Do they want to leave their homes in Schaumburg or Colorado and everything and come back and live with our house? Have we planned on any substitutions? Have we planned on any of the variables? Do we have a plan in place? Have we considered anything along the line of the manual, creating a financial manual for ourselves and for our family, for our loved ones? I'll just mention that when I return. Give me a an opportunity to get a sip of coffee and listen to some music.
A small cafe, mademoiselle, a rendezvous, mademoiselle. The violins were warm and sweet, and so were you, mademoiselle. And as the night danced by, a kiss became the sigh. Your lovely eyes seemed to sparkle just like wine does. No heart ever yearned the way that mine does for you. And yet I know too well, someday you'll say goodbye, then violins will cry, and so will I, mademoiselle. As the night danced by, a kiss became the sigh. Your lovely eyes seemed to sparkle just like wine does. No heart ever yearned the way that mine does for you. And yet I know too well, someday you'll say goodbye, then violins will cry, and so will I, mademoiselle.
That was Mr. Dick Ames singing Mademoiselle from 1947. That was a pleasant voice. Didn't he have a pleasant voice? A nice song, nice words, nice phrase, nice melody. Those are nice tunes, and they happen to be from 1947. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did listening to it. What I was talking about was creating a financial plan. I think it's the best gift you could ever give your heirs. As I talk about from time to time, I'm called in to help people straighten out problems. And some of the problems that you run into is confusion, not knowing, dealing with these major life changes, whether divorces or death. The only way that you can organize your financial life today is to have a financial plan, have it down in black and white. Make it smoother for yourself. Make transitions smoother for yourself or your heirs. You have assets, you have property, liabilities, and things. When's the last time you looked at your assets? Have you ever done had done for you an asset analysis? When we do it, we have some 35 pages and just the analysis of your individual assets. You see, some of these strategies we don't have to pay much never mind to if we have a good solid program and we know exactly where we're going. We won't be grasping at straws, trying to catch a gold ring as we go around on this merry-go-round. We have an understanding of our insurance details. What deductibles do you have? Are you covered? Can you sleep at night? how about the cash flow? And this is the biggest thing with seniors and those individuals that are retired. Their cash flow. You see, I've talked about liquidity, use, and control of your money for years, but how important it is to have the liquidity and use of your money. You could have $20 million in a bank somewhere, in a vault buried, 40 feet below ground, concrete, steel vault. That's nonsense. What's our cash flow? What are we living on? How can we afford to live? Are we living the type of retirement that we want to live? Are our golden years truly golden years? Or is it just a struggle? Cash flow analysis, extremely important. Have you done that? Do you have cash flow? If you do, where are the funds coming from? Do you know what your expenses are? What the income? What's your pension? What's your Social Security? Have we taken the best Social Security we could receive? Does it fit with our plan? Does it fit? Does it fit? Does it fit? What I'm saying is that at some time in our life, whether or not it's done for us by law, or we do it smartly by ourselves prior to having any of these major life changes, is to just put it all together. Take a look and see. Accumulating money is important. All right, we save bonds, and we have 401s and what have you with these deferred pensions, deferred savings accounts. But knowing how to spend these assets and in what order is extremely important. Where do you put your money? And what do you take out? What do you take out first? You see, you can't make a blanket statement. You'd say the one that's not taxable, leave the tax deferment going and leave this. You don't know unless you look at it and you put it all together and see what this spending game is all about. You see what the cash flow is and have a tax analysis. When's the last time you had a tax analysis? If you ever had one at all, a tax analysis, I think I do anywhere from 20 to 25 pages on just a tax analysis alone. So you know, so you have an idea. We work like I don't know how you work. I used to say it's like a mule. You get in front of the cart, and I'd say, I got these mortgages and these kids, and I've got all these expenses, and I got the wife taking care of the family, and I hitch myself up every morning to that wagon, and like a mule, I pull it through, whether or not it's the snow, the mud, or a sunny day. But you see, we work hard for our money and for our loved ones. Let's give them some peace and security. All right, okay. But getting back to these strategies, these pie in the sky kind of things that I hope we're not sucked into. We're not worried about the Social Security check. We know that's going to be each month. It's going to be there, and so we have that as a guarantee. Do we? Can we count on that? Do you know we can count on that? Depending on our age, is it going to be there in the full amount that we anticipate today? So the idea of receiving the Social Security check in a lump sum is that determining exactly how much of a loan your payment can support in a lump sum at today's mortgage interest rate. That's right. They're talking about borrowing money out of your home, taking some of the equity or all of the equity out of your home, and then paying for that mortgage at retirement at 60, 65, 67, 68 with the Social Security check. So now we've got $500,000 or whatever the amount is in our hand with a $500,000 mortgage, but the mortgage is covered with the Social Security check. How do you feel about that? You see, the concept is good. If I put it down and just say, well, listen to this, Mrs. Jones, you've got the money from Social Security, which is taxable, and you're using it to pay your new mortgage loan, which is tax deductible. So you've swapped your monthly Social Security check for the lump sum payment. You see, that opens the doors for a lot of opportunities, and the opportunities are we want your money to invest in our programs. You see that? So the strategy opens a door for you to do a lot of things that you couldn't otherwise do. In other words, you and I, we couldn't really do any business if we didn't have this lump sum of money. Remember I said about the three areas of money, 3 places of money. We have our lifestyle money, our accumulated money, and the transferred money. But if you don't have much accumulated money, and I go back to the telephone call that we received from the advisors. Hello, Mrs. Jones. How much money do you have, and where is it? Oh, I could do better than that. Invest it with us. So now we've got a big pool of money that seemingly the advisor can invest, and where are we? We're left with a home equity loan that our Social Security checks will make the payments. What happens if the investment goes sour? We've used now we've got a mortgage check and we don't have any money. What happens to the kids there? Our heirs, either our spouse or our children. Is that what we want to leave them with? Have we looked at that? What happens if we don't qualify for life insurance to protect that loan or mortgage? Is that something we want to think about? How about if it's nothing really to worry about? Our Social Security check is guaranteed. Okay, at what amount? How long is this going to continue? How long can we bank on that? Do you really want to work as a mule? As I get to work as a mule all your life to have to worry about whether or not the Social Security check is going to cover that mortgage payment? And the fact that the mortgage payment's deductible, come on. Didn't we just understand there was possible legislation to eliminate or at least curtail the amount of deductibility of that interest payment, just like they did with automobile financing, just revolving charge cards, installment loans at one time were deductible on a Schedule A. That was eliminated. Could they eliminate the full deduction of the mortgage interest that we pay? Sure can. Now, what happens to this strategy? You see, the point I'm trying to get to, the point I wanted to make with these, each one in itself sounds like a good scheme. Sounds like a way to really get ahead. I'll tell you how to get ahead. Save your money. See, I talk in the workshops 20%. If we can't go through your portfolios, if we can't go through what your assets and liabilities are, and transfer dollars. Remember I said the wealth transfers and opportunity costs in the total amount of dollars that you're transferring and losing. If we can't come in there and find maybe 15 to 20% of dollars in which to save, then we're not doing our jobs. So if we just sit down at your kitchen table, you don't know what our backgrounds are, you don't know what our qualifications are and what we're going to do, other than to present you with an idea like taking your Social Security check in a lump sum. You're going to be on the short end. But my voice is starting to go from all the shouting. Why don't we take a break? Let me take a final sip of coffee and listen to something a little more soothing. Did I say soothing? that was the song Heartaches, originally written and produced in 1931, and given to us by Ted Weems and his orchestra, 1947. That whistler, Zelmo Tanner. When is the last time you heard somebody whistling? That went out the window with the Canaries. Some of you older folks will know what I'm referring to when I talk about out the window with the Canaries. Elmo happened to be an individual that he was reportedly blind, but he sure could whistle. Well, our time is up for this week. I certainly enjoyed ranting and raving and talking to you about schemes and things maybe we should look at with just a grain of salt. Before we do anything, know what the rate of return is that you're getting right now. Follow the simple steps that we outline each week. What rate of return do you have? What rate of return do you need? I don't mean on a 401. I mean on the money coming into your model. You do have a model, don't you? Yeah. Okay. Money coming into your model, and then as it flows out in the lifestyle that's gone and lost forever, how much have you earned on it? All right, we'll wrap it up for today. We'll pick this conversation up hopefully next week at this time. We want to thank you for listening. Thanks for the support of the station, the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, and of course the broadcast through Jack FM 89.7 each week. And of course we thank our director this morning, Mr. John DeVita, for keeping me between the lines. See you, folks. Talk to you again next week, and make somebody smile.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain,
your sighing.
stop your sighing,
Won't you be happy again?
happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the world will smile. Let's go now. Let's go, Sam.
You have been listening to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Friday, February the 3rd, the year 2017. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita. Our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflick of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Seconda. Until next time, please be safe and thanks for listening. Today's broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, February the 1st, the year 2017. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. Have a safe, warm, and enjoyable weekend, everyone, and thanks for being with us.